Right now, there's a huge debate over student loan forgiveness because it's something that affects over 45 million Americans, and with unemployment numbers at record highs, the crisis is only getting worse. Over the last 2 months, both Democrats and Republicans have been going at it, and I've been watching them very closely, following every single student loan development. Today, I'll talk about some proposals on the table, what I think the future holds for student loans, and some steps you can take towards your student loans. So let's get into it. Cheers! Hey everybody, my name is Hisham Khan and welcome to Income Over Outcome, where we talk all about investing and personal finance. Now, when I graduated college, I had around $80,000 of student loans. So I grinded super hard and lived way below my means so I could pay them off super quickly. So trust me, I understand how hard it is to deal with student loans. There's no doubt that trillions of dollars of student loan debt is bad not only for the country, but the economy, because it forces people to move back in with their parents, they have to hold off on buying houses, and overall, it decreases the amount they can spend, and our economy thrives on consumer spending. This graph by the Federal Reserve shows that student loans have the highest delinquency rate among all loans. And before the pandemic, 2/3 of student loan payments were only going towards interest, which means even people who were paying back their loans weren't actually paying off their balances. Now, this makes total sense to me because most people don't have the financial means or financial literacy to pay off student loans quickly, which is why they end up struggling with them for decades. Everyone also knows that right now student loans are a huge bubble, and if some horrific thing came along, let's say a pandemic that caused a bunch of people to stop paying their loans, then the economy would be absolutely devastated. And that is why the government had to cancel interest and pause all federal student loan payments until October. Everyone realized that that had to be done, but then it brings on the debate of overall student loan cancellation. The important question is canceling student loan debt really worth it? Would the benefits of it outweigh the huge cost? I'm really curious as to what you all think, so let me know down below. But this is what politicians are thinking. 92% of student loans are federal student loans. So even if the government passed something, only for government loans, it would have a huge impact. Like I said before, right now payments are paused, but that only delays the fact that millions of people will default on their student loans. It's really only a temporary fix. As soon as payments start up again, the bubble might burst, which is why Democrats are really pushing for complete student loan forgiveness to be included in the next stimulus package. They started off by proposing $30,000 of student loan forgiveness for everybody, which is the average amount held by student loan borrowers. They quickly realized it would be impossible to get that through the Senate, so then they made the request a little bit more reasonable, changing it to $10,000 of student loan forgiveness for everybody. But that didn't go anywhere either, so they made the request a little bit more specific, changing it to cancel $10,000 of student loans for only the economically distressed. And the definition of economically distressed is that people are in default with their loans right now, or they don't have the income to support their student loans. This proposal is on the table for the next stimulus package, which we're likely going to see be passed before the end of July. But there's no word yet if this is going to be included in it. One of the more serious discussions is around extending the postponed student loan payments for another year. Like I talked about before, student loan payments are supposed to start up again in October. But since the economy is still struggling, it's clear that an extension is probably necessary. There's still some pushback against this because most Republicans don't like the idea of letting people off the hook for another year. But the fact that 2020 graduates are facing a really hard job market and a bunch of student loans are already in default, they will probably have to give in to this. Now, there are a few core arguments against canceling all student loans, but really the main thing is cost. Nothing is truly free, and someone is going to have to pay for the $1.6 trillion in student loans. Republicans say that the cost would have to shift onto the public as a whole. So taxes would have to increase, and obviously no one wants that, so they think it's not worth it. Democrats, on the other hand, want to pay for it by increasing taxes on corporations, but Republicans don't like that because then it means that businesses probably won't want to operate as much in the US. So until both parties agree on how important it is to cancel student loans and how they're going to pay for it, nothing is going to happen. And to be honest, I don't see that happening happening anytime soon. A lot of other proposals are to cancel student loans, not for everybody, but only for specific populations. Massachusetts Congresswoman Catherine Clark proposed canceling $6,000 of student loan debt every single year for up to 5 years for early childhood educators. Now that's a very specific population, but a lot of them have been impacted by job loss since the pandemic began. Many other people proposed starting off by forgiving student loans for all healthcare workers. And as we all know, that would be hundreds of thousands of dollars in forgiveness per person. And then there's Joe Biden, who wants to cancel $10,000 of student loans for everybody. And this might actually have a huge impact because almost half of all borrowers in default owe less than $10,000. It's clear that there is still a lot of work to be done before a meaningful student loan proposal is passed. After following all of this for months, here is what I think is going to happen. I would put my money on the student loan break that's in place right now being extended. I don't think it'll be for a whole year like proposed, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a few more months past October of paused student loan payments without interest. You also can't forget the fact that we're in an election year, so both sides are trying really hard to win our vote, and that's partly why I think there's a huge emphasis on student loans right now. Canceling student loan debt would be huge in winning the 18 to 30-year-old vote, and that's over a quarter of our population. For that reason, as we get closer to the election, I would expect the conversation around student loans to get a little bit more serious, but honestly, I am highly doubtful that true forgiveness is going to be passed before the election. The next stimulus bill will likely come out before the end of July, and honestly, it probably won't include anything regarding student loan forgiveness, but the conversation will definitely continue. Even if student loan forgiveness does pass, it's going to take years to implement. You can't just cancel $1.6 trillion of loans overnight. My advice to you is don't count on student loan cancellation. You need to be prepared to pay them back. If payments start up again and then you don't pay them because you think they'll be canceled, you're going to ruin your credit and it'll be worse for you than you think. You can definitely prepare to pay them back with keeping in mind that they might be canceled. And here's how. If you have student loans, this is what you can do. Right now is a great time to get ahead since interest is canceled and payments are postponed. It really doesn't benefit you to pay them right now since you're not losing any money. But what you should be doing is saving like crazy. Whatever your student loan payment is, save that plus anything more you can every single month. This is going to be a really good safety net just in case you lose your job. But more importantly, you're going to have a huge lump sum that you can put towards your student loans once payments start up again, whether that be in October or a year from now. This is going to help you put a huge dent in your student loans. And if by some miracle student loans get canceled, well then great. Now you have a huge amount of money to start investing and get on the track of building wealth. That's all I have for you today. I hope you learned a little bit about student loans. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. As always, feel free to leave any questions or comments you have down below and I'll be sure to answer them. I'll be posting a new video later this week, so be sure to tune into that. Until then, take care. Cheers.